When looking for the king of podcasts, you're at the wrong channel.
Well, excuse me!
Looking for good ideas for life? You're far from good hands.
Hey, bud, what's your problem?
If you think the listener is always right, you're far from the right place.
Out of order! Even in the future, nothing works!
Hosted by a Northeasterner by birth, but a rebel by choice.
Are you threatening me?
If you want a host that floats between love and madness,
and we know the night is always gonna be here anyway. Thinking of you's working up my appetite. Looking forward to a little afternoon delight.
then play on and listen to Crazy Train Radio.
All right, guys, listen to this blues riff and B. Watch me for the changes and try and keep up, okay?
Within the gaming world, there are your general gamers, but then there are those that enjoy the dark underbelly of gaming. If you're one of those that enjoy the dark underbelly of gaming, we certainly got the place to send you. Scorpion Layer Games. That's right, Scorpion Layer Games is the creators of the true crime hit Killers, the card game. Let's not forget they also have Killers Clothing Company, their profiler game, and things like the 5-Minute Murder channel on YouTube. And we certainly can't forget the new book that is certainly a hit, Beyond the Headliners, True Crimes, Myths, and Legends. Make sure you visit Jeff and the Scorpion Layer Games on Facebook and everywhere today. Also want to give a quick thank you to our friends over at Ultra Pro, who is the leading manufacturer and supplier of sports, comics, and memorabilia storage. Whether it be card cases, sleeves, top loaders, or travel gear, you name it. We are also going to be working with Ultra Pro in the next few months to do some special giveaway packages for the holiday season coming up in a few months, so stay tuned. Make sure you check them out at ultrapro.com.
Hi, my name is Olga Turka. I'm the costume and production designer for Terrifier 2 and 3. Check out my interview on Crazy Train Radio.
Hey folks, it's your least favorite host in the podcast world, Croc, Jonathan Steele. And boy, do we have a good one for you today. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, and even the skinny ones in the other room there might have a little gold tint to them to your left.
Yes,
So
my friend over here.
we gotta include the friend too.
Yeah, all the friends, all the friends.
Yeah, everybody could jump on this train. But this next guest has her hand in many hats as a fashion stylist, costume designer, and in her words, imagination pimp that was involved in a little film, or two little films, Terrifier 2 and Terrifier 3, with multiple hats.
Yeah.
But I guess the proper title would be production designer. So let's go ahead and welcome Olga Turka. Did I pronounce that right?
Yeah, you said it perfectly. Thank you so much.
Beautiful. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm very busy, but grateful, and I'm so happy to be here with you.
Thank you so much. And you know what? I'm curious to know, at least with the background, obviously we'll talk the movies and all that fun stuff, but what does it actually mean in studying as a wardrobe technician?
For me to study wardrobe technician when I went to Fashion Institute of Technology.
Mm-hmm.
Wardrobe technician is, you learn, it's beyond sewing. So basically, if you're doing theater or opera where there's quick changes, you learn the tricks of the trade to make sure that these changes happen quickly. So, installing snaps and things like that.
Okay.
To allow for and make it look like there's no snaps, but so the changes are quick.
There you go. Quick, like almost like if you're doing like a concert, I would guess, right? Where exactly. You do the boom, switching
it's backstage it for a few seconds and then they run back out in the next thing. So
yeah. So obviously, well, I guess I should ask this because not everybody would probably know this, but were you a horror fan before getting involved with these projects?
So this is a really fun and serendipitous part. So growing up, I was always obsessed with goth and macabre, like Tim Burton, but I was always terrified of very gruesome and gory horror movies. I had friends that worked in haunted attractions. I would refuse to go because I didn't like being scared. And honestly, the trajectory of my career was basically tiptoeing my way into things where more and more special effects were used. And then Terrifier became like the super crash course. So I've always loved films like The Shining and Silence of the Lambs and things like that. But to get to this level of horror and the artistry of special effects and practical effects, I think Terrifier taught me very fast everything.
Yeah. I can't see with Damien's style of things being a crash course in anything. I can't see that. As I say that sarcastically,
Oh, yes. And it's like, if you could survive creating a Terrifier film, you can do anything.
Absolutely. Well, obvious question then. How did you get connected with Damien and Phil and the whole crew involved with Terrifier?
So one of my dear friends is a special effects makeup artist, and his name is Anthony. And he introduced me to Damien when Damien was looking for a costume designer for Terrifier 2. And I had spoken with him. I had never heard of Terrifier. He gave me the script. I read it and my jaw dropped on the floor. I was like, wow. The really funny part of the story also is that I declined the job twice, only because of the scale of what he wanted to create in the script and the budget we had. But I'm so blessed that he called a third time and we worked something out, and it's been the wildest ride ever since.
Well, with that being said, and it's certainly been a wild ride, yes. But obviously he wanted you for costume design, but then I heard you, and we know everything online is true,
yes.
that you possibly saw an opening for production design and you wanted to be involved in that as well. So what actually happened there?
So what actually happened is during pre-production, I guess the set designer, it didn't work out. So we were, toiling away with it was always me, Damien, Jackie, the hair and makeup artist, and Phil in Phil's basement preparing like Sienna's costume, and like they were preparing the special effects. He had asked me to be production designer as well. Like we have a great rapport together. We get each other a lot. So I went into the bathroom and I Googled, what does a production designer do? And then I came out and I said, I could do that. And it's like such a serendipitous thing in my life, as I've always been interested in sets and things like that. But now it is like the thing I'm hired for the most, which I am so grateful to Damien for trusting me with this and the entire aesthetics of the film, basically, and creating his vision.
Well,
his warped vision.
No, Damien with a warped vision. Stop.
But we love
Come on.
it.
Yeah, exactly. So, it's interesting with the costume side of things. And obviously you mentioned Lauren with her, and obviously with her costume of part 2, at least with the warrior setup and stuff like that. I'm curious to know, and I'm not body shaming here, folks. That's not where I'm going with this. But it seems like it would be difficult to design that and set it up compared to regular clothes or somebody like what David wears with the whole one bodysuit, where there's a little more, I would think, a little more flexibility, where
absolutely,
just because of sizes and just everything else, because obviously Lauren is very athletic. She has a stunt background, martial arts, all that stuff. And I don't know, but it would feel like, because of like the running around, the sweating, the constant activity, that there might be more of a risk of size fluctuation there. Did you ever have an issue with any costumes, but especially something like hers?
It was definitely not really the size that was the issue. It was more the material and it enduring like stunts, and like you have to remember that we had to the water tank, like all these other variables. And because something like that, a cosplay costume, is not usually put through these elements, let's say. So when Damien presented the foundation of what he wanted for the Sienna costume, and he and I collaborated on all the details. And Lauren has not been shy, as patient as she was, that this costume was an absolute nightmare for all of us, because there's like, by the end of the filming process, like this thing had to be duct taped, glued together. Like it went through hell. So,
like you said, it wasn't made for that kind of activity.
But it looks great on camera, and that's what we were just trying to accomplish. So for the water tank, Damien and Phil like molded it into a rubber material. So it looked the same, but it was like, so it can endure the water and everything else. Because another thing to know is that we rarely film in sequence. So we have to make sure that we still have the costume in case we're, doing inserts later, or, so we were lucky that so many hands were involved in that costume. It wasn't just Damien, Jackie, the hair and makeup. Like we were all helping keep it together the whole time. There were other artists that helped paint it, repaint it, help sculpt it, help build it, rebuild it. Like there was a lot of love put into that poor costume.
So it must have been a relief, because I actually went back and watched T3 again yesterday in the theater, because I'm going to be talking to Gabby later this afternoon too. So which is going to be cool.
That's amazing. Tell her I said hi. I love her.
I will, but I'm sure it was such a relief on Lauren's part, at least since we were talking her costume, that when it was time to shoot T3. Hey, you don't have to you're going to be in regular clothes this time around.
Oh, 100%. I think it is a much more comfortable costume situation for her this time. And it was very befitting of where her character was at, and, the themes underlying too.
Absolutely. But with everything you do and whatnot, what do you think and obviously you were just talking about the Sienna costume and such, but especially with these two films, what do you think was probably the most difficult task that came across your virtual desk, let's say?
In both films or just one?
Or either one of them is, what would you say? You go, all right, when, because it's one thing when Damien gives you the script and all that, and you want to do this, want to do that, and you're like, you mentioned it earlier. Oh, how are we going to do that for budget and all this? But yeah, it's one thing to see it on paper, but then we get into the process of we're here, we're shooting this, we're how are we going to do this? We had a game plan, but this is not going to work out how we wanted it to work out.
Oh, it never does. And I think you just know, like working in film, that there's going to be a bajillion variables. And you just have to learn to kind of like go with the flow. So there's a big difference between Terrifier 2 and 3 in terms of budget. But so Terrifier 2 had a core crew of 9 people. We, of course, had people helping us along. Thank goodness. But the core crew of 9 wore multiple hats, and we all helped each other like through and through, like for the 2 years. For Terrifier 3, as you saw in the theater, Damien wrote a bigger script. There was many more locations and everything. So things that I have to think about as a costume and set designer is, especially like with stunts, like we need copies of things, costumes. We have to figure out and anticipate how many costumes from head to toe we need for not only the actors because of blood and continuity, but also for the stunt doubles and things like that. And then for the sets, like I might need more than one lamp just in case this gets knocked over in like this duel and things like that. So all these little things I have to anticipate in both of them. But what I was blessed with on 3 was to have a small crew on the art department of 6 core members, but then like another 10 art assistants that were very helpful. And then on costumes, I had 2 great people as well. So having more people did help, but the time frame was very, very short and fast, which was very, very difficult.
Speaking of blood and guts,
I want to draw some blood.
My favorite.
Oh yeah, exactly. And obviously, there's a lot of gore in 2 and 3. But what from what's the word I'm looking for here? Like for you just said it, the contingency or I'm having a brain.
Or
Yeah, I don't. Well, as far as yeah, it's one of those days. It's been nuts. But as far
same here.
yeah, but as far as a being, because like you said, you don't shoot in order. So how do we, or what's your process at least in terms of being able to continuity for continuity purposes?
Which is
yes,
not
folks.
perfect.
I'm using big words today.
Yes. The continuity of the film is one of the most difficult parts of the job for everyone involved because for costumes, we try to take pictures, like very intense pictures, as does the special effects team, because they want to make sure that his makeup is as perfect as possible for the timing of everything. Like, where would he have blood splatter on his costume, on his face, So we take a lot of photos, like 360 of each character and the rooms to know like what it looks like at the beginning of the scene and what it looks like at the end of the scene. So we might shoot something that's like balls to the wall insane and then have to retreat back and make it perfect again, which is so difficult.
Yeah, you need that little piece in the middle. Go, oh, we need this here. Like you said, that blood spot here. We need.
Yeah, or like, crap, this broke. So now we have to glue it back together and put it here like nothing happened.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, there's a funny story. And David, I'm sorry. I love you, brother. You've been good, very good to me. You've been very good to me. Yeah, I'll say that clear. And this ain't a shot at you. But David has come out and said there was a particular thing that Damien put in just to kind of screw with him in the script. And I don't care about, it's not so much about being spoiler free or not, because I think most of the people that will hear this when this comes out over the weekend have seen the movie and stuff like that.
You could always put a spoiler alert or something.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, but he has a thing with rats and whatnot, and I'll leave it there. I'll leave it for you to figure out what I'm going with. I'll go that route.
Yes.
But was there something for you in either of the films that you go that was maybe cringeworthy on your end? I don't know if I can physically watch this, or you know what I'm saying? Was there something for you to go that maybe made your stomach a little queasy?
I hope I don't sound sick by saying no. But for me,
Oh, so you're like one of us, all twisted and you know.
for me, this has been the most like fascinating thing. Like, it is such a blessing to see practical effects at this level. Like, just to see all the hard work that's involved and all the time it takes to make these like bodies that look so real, and like, you know, the blood gags, like when you hit something, the blood sprays. Just to witness all that to me is like such. I can't be grossed out because I know it's just so cool to be here. But as a viewer, and mind you, like I wasn't exposed to like gory films growing up. As a viewer, what really, really scares me and gets me, and even when I saw Terrifier 3 for the first time in theaters, is the sound design. So the sound design, like, you have to remember when we're filming, we don't have any of that. So we're like laughing, ha ha, he he in the background. But like when I see it in the theater, I'm like, oh shit, that is so scary. So you hear all these slicings and choppings and that stuff that we don't hear on set. So it's really, really been that's what scares me the most, is the sound design more than the visuals.
And I'm a guy that's always been huge on things like the sound. Like you said, it's one thing to hear it, but a good sound design and music makes a movie good.
Yes.
A great sound design and music makes it that much better and over the top. And
Yeah.
the reference I always use is the original Halloween from John
Yeah.
Carpenter, because the people who released the film and distributed it and all that stuff for him were like, they saw the movie, edited, but without the sound design. And it was like, oh, that's nice. You guys did, that was cool. But then they saw it again with the sound and everything put in. It's like, it made that much. How soon can we get this out? Yeah, I mean, so sound and music is so key that to make things.
Yeah, I don't think people realize it makes everything so much more visceral. Like as a viewer, like you feel it as a like you're watching it. And I know what's gonna happen, but I've seen the movie 4 times now, and there's still certain sounds that make me go like this. So just because you feel it, like you have the goosebump feeling, you know?
Exactly. I asked Carrie McGuire this, who is one of the who's one of the admins of ACIS, Art Appreciation Society, and because obviously she was, hello gang, love yous. So except for Ronnie, and I know I'll get a message for saying that. No.
I love
But he'll be like, what shit you talking now again? But no. So I was asking Carrie, because she was a victim in a clown kid fit. And she always jokes, in her words, folks, I'm not saying this out of school, she calls herself Swiss cheese titties because of the gun. But yeah, this is how Carrie phrases it. But she was obviously killed with the Tommy gun and stuff like that. And then there's the shower scene in 3 with the chainsaw, and the girl across her chest gets the chainsaw. So out of the 2 of them, your opinion, which do you think was worse, the chainsaw or the Tommy gun?
I mean, first of all, it was an honor to kill Carrie.
See, you bitch, you deserve to die. No.
I just thought that, you know, both are great. I think the chainsaw is probably a little more like intense, just because you just think like a gun would be faster, I would think, where a chainsaw is like you feel it slicing through the skin and bone. So I would go with the chainsaw as the most like intense.
Out of the 2 of them.
we treasure all of our kills though. So
And like I said, Carrie, you deserve it. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I know I'll hear about that too, but that's fine.
love you,
I gotta be
Carrie
able to.
and Ronnie.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. Ronnie is a cutie. So,
Yes.
like I said, Carrie and all, we tease, we kid, but we love what Atticus does and everything else
Oh,
like that.
us
Because it's
too.
for you though. What's it like seeing all the fan support? Because obviously, at this point, the part three has hit number one for a bit. I don't know where the rankings stand as we sit from the financials, but what were you guys surprised? Did it hit one? But yeah, I know you're not surprised by the fan support because it's been a word of mouth deal.
hmm So like joining two, I had a crash course also in just how loving the horror community is. And it's been such a blessing meeting everyone. But like what really is so amazing for all of us is that we like truly kill ourselves making these movies day in and day and out. This is 24/7. Like even if you're not filming, you're prepping or you're thinking of all the things that are going to happen. So to work so hard and have it loved so much is like the greatest gift that we could ever ask for. So as you know, it's been grassroots from the beginning. Even the second one was funded by the fans. So just to see that level of love for T2, and then to like, we were absolutely like, we never thought we would be listed next to movies like Joker and Beetlejuice. And it's like never a competition in our eyes, because if you're in the film industry, you know that whether the films have like a $200 million budget or a $2 million budget or 400,000 or anything like that, all film crews really, really put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into what they do. So just to see it so loved by everyone and people going multiple times is just so like we treasure that really so much. It means the world. Like we are just so we cried. I cried for Damien because he's been at it for 15 years, and to think he doodled this character and had the grit and perseverance to keep going. I feel like we died like 17 times inside on each film, and all of our lost souls lifted it up.
Right on. So I got to ask you, and thank you for the time, but
Yeah, of course.
David, and I know I was just joking about him a second ago about the rats and everything else like that, but it's amazing because he's a sweet soul when we're talking David Thornton, the person, or excuse me, David Howard Thornton for professional sakes. No, but when we're talking David Thornton as the person, one of the sweetest guys around. We both get along because we were history majors, all that stuff. He went on to teach before getting into acting and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, folks, he actually taught kids. So think of that dichotomy there, folks. But, he's a guy you'd want to sit and have a drink with or sit and have dinner with. And, he's a person you definitely want to be around.
Yes.
And I'm not saying that to blow smoke. But, he's just one of those people you'd like to be around.
Oh,
but then
absolutely.
Then there's the sinister side of art. How was that for you? And what can you talk about with your experience with David?
So, it was funny because when I got the T2 script, my mom and I watched Terrifier 1, and we were screaming so loud. We shut the windows because we didn't want the neighbors to think we were in some kind of distress or something. But like my mom was going to go visit the family in Turkey, and she was just like, I'm not going. So my mom was like, I'm not going. This is crazy. I can't leave you alone here with this. So anyway, so when I went on to set and like I met him, he is one of the most like loving, genuine people. Lauren is as well. Sam Scafidi is as well. But David specifically, what I love is just seeing his process every day, from being in his street clothes to going into makeup, then going into the costume, and you wouldn't be surprised. He's singing show tunes during all these 2 hours. He is, having like loving, genuine conversations with everybody just about life. And I adore David. He is such a light, and it's really, he's the polar opposite of Art the Clown. Like,
Exactly my point.
yeah, he's great with children. He's so loving. That, I think that just means a lot about his talents, about how he can switch from this kind of this Buster Keaton, Charlie Chaplin character to complete sadistic, maniacal, insane person. It's just a joy watching him work, and it's also a joy just to be friends and love David Howard Thornton as a person.
Yeah, he's the type of guy we always enjoy having in our life because of the person he is.
Yes.
Last two questions for you. And I mentioned earlier about I'm going to be talking to young Gabby later this afternoon.
What a rock star she is.
That's what I've heard.
So just tell her I said, "Hey, Queen."
I will. But what was it? Especially, and I guess you could talk about the theme with it too, because there's a lot of gore, blood, guts, just the whole theme of the movie. What was that like seeing kids like Gabby be involved in this project? Does that like mind you, I'll say?
Well, we were blessed with Gabby being such a professional, Antonella. She's such a professional through and through. So she came to set like as if she was going to work, and these are the pretend things I'm gonna make be real things. But she also has that history with Walking Dead and things like that. So I think that helped her a bit, know what to anticipate. But she was always very, very in the moment and turns it on like a light. She's very, very talented, and we're so blessed to have.
Yeah, because that's what I haven't talked to Lauren in a few months, but it was like she said, I heard her say a similar thing that's like they'd be like in the heart of it towards the end of the movie, it'd be like it would cross Lauren's mind as they were, when they call cut, like, oh my God, like we just did X, Y, and Z. Like, how is this going to affect her as a young child? And it's like, oh, okay. Hey, let's, like a snap of her fingers. Like like you said, she was able to separate it and go, talk about whatever. And
I mean, it's like, I guess the thing that like struck me the most is that her like fake dad's on the wall, like
yeah, all the different things that are going on at the
there's a lot going on. So it's just, but it's easier to see the pretend nature of it when you're making it rather than being a viewer of it. It's because as a viewer, your imagination runs wild, and then on set you're seeing that it's these are the walls that we are creating this weird story, weird and amazing story out of. So she's just such a she's so wise beyond her years, and just very, very, she's like meant to do what she's doing, because who could go into a situation like that and just be so professional?
Yeah.
Her mom is amazing too, I have to say.
I will say hello to Queen's mother as well too, for you.
Also a queen.
Queen and queen. But I'll be honest.
On set. Hey, Queen.
I'll be honest, it was the scene you mentioned about dad hanging on the wall, hanging out, we'll say. Yeah. I thought that would have been the part that kind of would have grossed David out. Honestly, when I saw the film the first time.
Yeah.
Just during the fight scene, that whole deal.
Yeah, I think for many, it was the kill that happens during that scene because of what was
the tube and
that
was the one that I was hitting at earlier.
The cream of mushroom soup to make that. Just this being around those scents is rough, and he's all up in it, So
And I know he said, "Hey, can my stunt double do it?" Like I said, David, I love you. But final question, and this is based on our conversation now. And obviously, the video won't be released unless I go back and see little clippets for like TikTok and stuff. But I'm looking at your outfit, and this looks like from the piece I can see, this looks like almost like, what do you call it? Like a chef's farm.
Yes.
There you go. It almost looks like something that Leatherface would wear. You know what I mean? Like the garment, like he was cooking or something. So where did you find that? That's such a good looking top you got on.
I'm so glad you asked. This is like, I hope you can see more of it. I'll take pictures of it, but it's by a designer in Ohio named Casey ML Brown. And he had sent it to us, and I wore it for today for interviews. I'm so honored to wear it as like another fellow designer. So
nice.
it's
Yeah.
like
When she stood up, there's straps and it's just a shirt.
Yeah.
It was. But when you stood up there, and like she's got straps for the shoulders and around the
it has
weight
very
above
much
her waist
vibes, which I love, and it has the color of blood, which I also love. So,
Well, I was going to ask, because when you stood up and I saw more of it, it almost looks like it was kind of molded for you.
Yeah, I mean, it fits me very well. It definitely was not molded for me, nor do my, like none of this is reflective of anything. It's just something that he sculpted on his own. And it's all leather too, which is interesting.
Nice.
So, yeah, it's very cool.
So what's next for you?
Right now I'm actually working on another horror feature film. And I can't say anything about it at the moment, but I am headed to another country to finish filming it for a month.
Nice.
Yeah, it's just such a blessing to be able to create and to adventure a bit as well. So I'll be out of the country for November for that film. And once I could talk a little more about it, I will definitely do so.
Nice. Well, Olga, where can people find you social media wise if they wish to?
I would love for everyone to find me on either Instagram, Olga Turka, OLGA TURKA, and Facebook, Olga Turka, but I'm more on Instagram, and I have had a very busy couple years, so I have to catch everything up, but I do post stories every day.
Nice. Olga, thank you so much for the time.
No, thank you so much. This has been lovely.
Hey there, Friday fans. We know how much you enjoy the movies. Enjoy grabbing your Friday merchandise and interacting with the Friday family, whether it be at conventions or during our particular watch-alongs.